Kia ora everybody, and welcome to our second Thriving People podcast, keeping you connected with all things related to the Thriving People program. Joining me today is Claire Walker, Chief People and Culture Officer for Skycity. Hi Claire.
Kia ora.
And joining us also is Anthony Thompson, Manager for Sustainability. Kia ora. Welcome, great to see you both. We were reflecting that it's now been 3 weeks since SBC first convened, 60 leaders to start a collaboration around how we could shift the dial around building authentic, inclusive workplaces that really foster a sense of belonging. And I just wanted to start the conversation today with a first question, which is, what did you find most valuable from that first hui? Claire, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, Rob. Look, I think what was really impressive and valuable for me in the hui was just the diverse range of organisations and professionals we had in the room. We did really, really well, I think, in terms of getting to this SME market through some of the bigger corporates. It was great to have the Human Rights Commission team present, so we had a really nice blend of great kind of practical experiences and insights with some of the more academic thinking in this diversity and inclusion space. I found that really valuable, and really then the stories that were shared, which is always just that kind of personal connection in terms of inclusion and diversity was really meaningful for me. Yeah, how about you, Ants?
Yeah, and I think it's always amazing to meet people that are focused on the same kaupapa and get to know people, have those conversations with each other to work more collaboratively to the same sort of goals. Yeah.
And it was amazing to see the connections in such a short space of time also.
That's right, yeah, really powerful.
Cool, so coming into the collaboration, and thanks, it's great to have Skycity as part of the kaupapa. What impact is Skycity looking to achieve through this collaboration?
Well, I guess there's a few things in there. I think about those in the room, and it was a mix of SBC members like ourselves and other organisations who maybe aren't currently in the membership. But you look at the opportunity, the breadth of employees that we can touch with this initiative, and that's, I think, what I really think we can contribute to. It's a movement rather than an initiative, and it's a movement that you look at the companies represented and the number of employees that those companies touch. There's a really significant opportunity. So I think for Skycity, we're maybe further along on our journey around inclusion than others, and others will be further along in their journey than us, and it's that opportunity to collaborate and share, but it's the scalable opportunity. The numbers are really, really quite significant when you think about it.
Cool. I think it is that sort of like the opportunity to drive impact at a scale that you cannot achieve in isolation.
Exactly. Together we'll go far further.
Anthony, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like Claire's touched on it, we might be leading in this space a little bit, but no one ever has all the answers, so it's against that collaboration where you might learn a new idea or say, and actually take that back to Skycity and say, hey, let's look at implementing this and improve again in our inclusion.
Yeah, excellent. One of the things that we took away from that workshop was just the appetite to hear stories, to share learnings, and also ideas going forward. And I guess one of my questions is can you give us like an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch for one of the projects that you're most proud of in the last 12 months within the context of moving beyond diversity or within the broader Thriving People program?
Well, there are a few that spring to mind, but I'll talk about one that I think Ants can expand on and contribute to. So one of the things I'm really most proud of at Skycity over the last 12 months is Te Rōpū Māori or Skycity, which is our Māori employee resource group. We have an inclusion council at Skycity, and one of the sort of founding groups represented on that council are Rōpū. And that group of employees, so our Māori employees, have just far exceeded our expectations in terms of really stepping into that space, acting as a voice for our Māori employees, but also as a guide and a support to the senior leadership team and our board. And I think we've been on this really meaningful journey together, and it's been a real collaboration. We've learnt so much as we've progressed, and always with a real authenticity and genuine desire to make meaningful change, rather than sort of flashy initiatives or top-down kind of led change. But Ants is a member of the Rōpū, so I should really let him speak to it. But it's certainly, for me, an initiative that I'm incredibly proud of, and particularly around the authenticity of that movement at Skycity.
Yeah, and as a member of the Rōpū, I can see that there is an authenticity and that want and that desire to bring the Māori Rōpū up, and to me it's always about understanding, and by understanding both sides, the perspectives, that's where you start to break down those barriers, right, and actually things start to make more sense about why we do the things we do. So seeing that coming through is really awesome, and it's only been a short time since I've been here, so yeah, I'm really proud of that as well.
So great progress and lots of aspirations going forward too.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that the really important piece in there is that it's very much employee-led.
Yeah.
So we're resisting the temptation to sort of have this top-down approach where you might feel you can make progress more quickly, but to make genuine change and authentic change, it has to be employee-led. And we are led by the Rōpū in terms of what are the initiatives that we want to work on, which has been a really powerful change for Skycity.
Fantastic. So that's your secret sauce. Cool.
Absolutely.
So moving beyond diversity and inclusion and thinking about thriving people more broadly, given the important roles that you both play at Skycity and within the wider network, what keeps you awake at night?
Well, what keeps me awake at night at the moment is something that a lot of HR professionals will be losing sleep over. We've got a really, really constrained candidate market in New Zealand at the moment, with our borders closed. It is a fixed candidate pool, and we're all competing and chasing the same individuals. It's incredibly competitive. So that keeps me awake, and the solution is ensuring that we are offering the absolute best experience an employee could have, and that's where ensuring that we are an employer who is inclusive of all cultures and all minority groups is vitally important. It has that. It's a competitive advantage today. So yes, you can compete on remuneration, but that'll only take you so far. What actually is going to make a difference from a candidate perspective is the environment in which I'm working, the opportunity, the genuine inclusion of me and my perspectives that I bring to the table, and an opportunity for those to be recognised, for those perspectives to be leveraged within the business to support the business and the growth of that business. So it's a time where those things are more important than they have ever been, and I think that's great. It's always really where we make progress more quickly is when there is a commercial imperative behind a movement like inclusion, and I think that is absolutely the case at the moment.
Mission critical. Anthony?
Yeah, I guess as a sustainability manager, the many complexities of sustainability in the world at the moment, and the many challenges that comes with that. Sustainability is so broad. It's not just the environment, again, it's people, it's also the economy and those sorts of things as well. So many challenges, but I think for me it's actually about the proper good that we are doing in those initiatives or within those challenges. And I think I can truly say hand over heart that Skycity are really doing some good things, and it's just about what else can we do, and I think that's what keeps me up at night.
One of the things that came through the hui was that this work, the mahi, is really complex. It can be very challenging. It can also at times be quite lonely, and it does take time. So what are you reading or watching at the moment that is really providing you with inspiration that fills your heart and soul?
Do you want to go first, Ans?
Yeah, I guess for me, in terms of my interest in one of my big desires is collaboration, and especially between Māori and Western world and things like that. So I read a lot of Māori stuff, Māori based videos and books and things, and at the moment I'm just looking at old Māori knowledge and in particular whakatauki or ancient proverbs, and just what kind of knowledge from back in the day can be applied to these days now, and you find that actually being a fluent speaker, it's a little bit easier to understand, but once you sort of break them down and you can teach that to someone else and provide understanding or what the context of it, actually there are ties over. So I'm finding that really interesting at the moment. Yeah.
So is that looking back to move forward?
Yeah. There's a whakatauki, ka titiro whakamuri, ka haere whakamau, which means when we look back we're able to move forward.
Fantastic. Say that one more time.
Yeah, it's ka titiro whakamuri, me haere whakamua.
So Claire.
What I'm reading at the moment, and I'm absolutely loving, and I was recommending it to Ants just the other week actually, I'm going back and reading the Michael King History of New Zealand, the Penguin History of New Zealand. So it's a really thick book. I've been reading it for a few weeks now, and I'm really enjoying that, just going back to right to the pre-Māori, Indigenous people time through to today. So where I'm at the moment is post-World War II, and I'm looking forward to reading the coming chapters. But it's just been a really nice kind of refresh in terms of the history of our relatively new country, and looking back and thinking about all of those key influences in our history, and individuals and peoples and movements, and it's a little bit like your whakatauki, it's learning from the past to navigate the future. So I'm really enjoying it.
Fantastic. It's always a pleasure to see you both, and thanks so much for your time. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our next podcast, when we can keep you connected with all things related to the Thriving People program. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.